Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. My husband got a bee in his bonnet a couple of months ago, deciding that he's now officially a daily early morning exerciser. That's great, except that he was decidedly not a daily or an early morning exerciser the day before he made this announcement. In fact, he was more what we would call a weekend warrior. He would do long, intense weekend workouts, sometimes more than one in a day, because during the week, his long work hours made exercise hit or miss. I'll give him credit. Once he told me that he's now officially a daily early morning exerciser, he leaned hard into that new identity and has proven it to be true. In fact, at the moment I'm recording this, he's on an overseas work trip. Despite a long travel day to get to his destination, he exercised early the day he was leaving and again early the morning after he arrived, despite the time change. After a couple of months of this new label, it really is true. He is a daily early morning exerciser. And that brings me to today's topic. The way we label ourselves has an enormous impact on our behavior, our habits, and ultimately our results. This idea isn't new, and it's not just mindset fluff for the self-help crowd. Believe me, my husband is not sitting around reading self-help books, but he somehow understood that this new label would transform his actions in a profound way. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, talks extensively about identity-based habits. His core idea is simple but powerful. Lasting behavior change doesn't start with what you want to achieve. It starts with who you believe you are. In other words, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you think you are or the type of person you want to be. When my husband decided I'm a daily early morning exerciser, his behavior naturally followed. He didn't wake up every day asking, do I feel motivated? Do I want to work out? He simply acted in alignment with who he believed himself to be. Motivation became much less relevant, which is helpful to know because all of us have moments where we struggle to find the motivation to do the things we want to do. Now, I'm not saying that we can all flip from one way of being to another in an instant with nothing more than a helpful label. But without thinking about the identity you want to embody, you're unlikely to create the habits that a person with that identity would have. I'd like to invite you to pause for a moment and think about how you identified yourself over the past year. What labels did you assign to yourself consciously or unconsciously? And just as importantly, did those labels work for you or against you? Often I meet smart, capable women who carry labels like these. I've always been heavy and I'm never going to be thin. I hate to exercise, so I'm never going to be a runner or even someone who works out regularly. I can lose weight, but I always gain it back. I'm just not motivated. I'm a procrastinator. All of these are examples of identity statements. They're not facts. And unfortunately, these identity statements tend to predict the future because we act in ways that make our labels come true. Psychologists call this a self-fulfilling prophecy, a concept studied for decades in behavioral science. When we believe something about ourselves, we selectively notice evidence that supports it and we behave accordingly. So if you believe I'm someone who always gains the weight back, you're more likely to stop planning, stop tracking, stop asking for help, and stop getting curious when things get hard. not because you're lazy, but because you're being consistent with your identity. Your belief that you always gain the weight back has become a self-fulfilling prophecy. What makes this even trickier is that sometimes the labels don't start with us. They come from other people, and we quietly adopt them. I remember many years ago when someone told me that I wasn't good enough at managing my finances to run my own medical practice. It wasn't that I was bad with money. I wasn't an overspender. I always saved. I invested. I planned for the future. But finance wasn't especially interesting to me, so I didn't engage with spreadsheets or reports any more than I absolutely had to at that point in my life. That comment could have easily turned into a limiting identity. I'm bad at managing money. And if I had embraced that label, I might never have started my own practice or smart weight loss coaching. Instead, I chose a more accurate and more helpful identity. I'm someone with a strong track record of being responsible with money, and I'm learning how to manage my own business. Do I knock it out of the park with spreadsheets, QuickBook reports, and timely invoicing? Not really. But because I believe I'm responsible and capable, I do the work anyway, just like my husband does his early morning workouts. This identity-first approach is supported by research beyond James Clear. Dr. Carol Dweck's work on mindset shows that when people believe their abilities and behaviors can grow and evolve, they're more likely to persist through challenges. Similarly, research by psychologist Dr. Hazel Markus on self-schemas demonstrates that how we see ourselves influences what behaviors feel natural or effortful. If healthy eating doesn't fit your self-schema, if it feels like something a different kind of person does, it will always feel harder than it needs to be. That's why white-knuckling your way through weight loss rarely works long-term. You're fighting your identity instead of updating it. Weight loss is especially vulnerable to identity traps because many people don't just say, I weigh more than I want to. Instead, they say, I'm overweight. I have no willpower. My body doesn't respond when I try to lose weight. I'm not one of those naturally healthy people. Over time, these labels stop being descriptions and start being limits. Limits about what's possible. Limits about what's worth trying. Limits about how much effort feels justified. Before we work on choosing a new identity for 2026, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. This holiday season, let's be honest. How many salon gift certificates, eye pillows, and fluffy socks does one woman really need? You've received plenty of briefly pleasant self-care gifts over the years. Am I right? So this year, instead of getting a pedicure and calling that self-care, why not ask for what you really want? Support with weight loss and sustainable habit change so that you can feel amazing in the new year. Inside my program, we'll help you make habit changes that last for the long term. No gift receipt required. Give yourself a well-deserved present that doesn't end when you redeem your gift certificate. Come join us at smartweightlosscoaching.com and see what it feels like to experience lasting change for your health and your weight. And we're back. As we wrap up one calendar year and approach the next, this is an ideal time to choose your identity intentionally. Not a resolution, not a rigid plan, not even a SMART goal, but rather an identity you're willing to practice, to lean into. Here are some examples of identity shifts that support weight loss and better health. Instead of saying, I'm inconsistent, try, I'm someone who practices showing up, even imperfectly. Instead of, I'm not motivated, try, I'm someone who follows through based on values, and my health is a top priority. Instead of saying, I always fall off the wagon, try, I'm someone who gets back on track quickly. I know how to reset. Notice that none of these identities require perfection. They require participation and a willingness to keep trying. James Clear emphasizes that identities are reinforced by evidence. So if you want to become someone new in 2026, you don't need dramatic changes. You need small, repeatable actions that prove the identity true. Here's how I suggest you approach this. Number 1, name the identity clearly. Write it down. Say it aloud. Post it somewhere you'll see it every day. Number 2, ask yourself this one daily question. What would someone with this identity do today? Number 3, keep the actions small. A short walk, a protein-forward breakfast, planning tomorrow's lunch, setting an alarm for your bedtime, and honoring that reminder. Number 4, track evidence, not outcomes. You're collecting proof that you're becoming someone new. Just like the most important data point for weight loss is not always the number on the scale, the proof that you're becoming someone new is the steps you're taking in the forward direction of that identity. Here are a few final thoughts about your new identity. You are not broken. You are not unmotivated, and you are not doomed to repeat the same patterns forever. You may simply be living out an identity that no longer serves you. The good news is that our identities are not fixed. They're chosen and practiced. As you move into the new year, I encourage you to ask, who do I want to become? And what's one small way I can live like her today? That question alone can change everything. In fact, if I may, I'd like to wrap up the year with that suggestion for your MBA, your next best action. Once again, please ask yourself, and I'll ask myself too, so my husband won't be the only one reinventing himself this year. Who do I want to become? And what's one small way I can live like her today? A couple of last things. First of all, thanks for bearing with me. I have a cold and you can hear my voice is really at its limit. But also, I just wanted to thank all of you for sharing our podcast with those you love this year. I never imagined we'd have so many listeners, and it's truly been an honor to be part of your journey. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.